desk, which was identical to the sort of coffee table desks that Prabhupada used in America. If you've seen photographs of Prabhupada in front of a coffee table, that's exactly what he had, and it wasn't handmade either, or specially made. So I suspect the coffee tables originally came from England and were imported to India, and then somebody got him one and used it as a desk. Probably enjoying the contrarianness of writing sacred topics on a coffee table, which is a contaminated substance. Coffee is. So anyhow, it dawned on me why he did it. It's because his spiritual master used to chant in the latrines. You know? His spiritual master used to chant in the latrines to avoid people. So to honor his spiritual master, he didn't put a latrine like an Indian latrine there. He put a toilet. But he didn't just put a toilet, he put the king of British toilets. They had British-style toilets in India, as well as the ones in the ground, which our Indian devotee associates know all about. And once a day or so, they know about them. But what he did was he got the top of the line British toilet, which was named. Are you ready? Are you braced? Are you sitting in your chairs, holding onto the arms of your chairs?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. It was named a crapper.
Joy.
Now you might ask, why was it named a crapper?
Why was it
named a crapper? What?
Why was it named the crapper?
Well, what happened when people bought the crappers? They were called crappers. The toilets were called crappers. They were the first ones made in England. When people bought them and people wanted to use them, a guy would get up from the table and say, I think I'm going to go and take a crap.
Oh, yes.
Crap. I mean, we all know what taking a crap is, right?
Yes.
Nobody doesn't know. Okay, if anyone doesn't know, explain it to them. But anyhow, why did they say I'm going to take a crap? Because when he walked into the bathroom, raised the lid and looked down, he saw the word crapper. So he abbreviated it. I'm going to take a crap, meaning I'm going to take a crapper. So anyhow, that was pretty dramatic. And that dawned on me finally that the Pandit didn't have the slightest idea. It had nothing to do with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's bowels. It had to do with his incredible worship of his spiritual master, Gaurkishore Das Babaji.
Joy.
And I might add, if I may, why on earth would Contrarian be important to come between Thakur Bhaktivinoda, the great magistrate, his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the great, Saraswati means he was given that title for being an extraordinary scholar of the highest order. Thakur on top of it. And then Srila Prabhupada. And the answer is that of the three, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Srila Prabhupada, who was the greatest contrarian?
That's a good question. Greatest depends on how you look at it. If you want to look at it let's define what do you mean by the greatest?
Yeah, that's a good point, because they were all three contrarians in different ways.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. So exactly, you read my mind. Excellent.
So contrarian, what was the contrarian?
Well, the contrarian activity. You mean the contrarian?
Contrarian really means going against the norm.
Yeah.
So if Bhaktisiddhanta had never gone against the norm, which he did, he went into Vrindavan in a limo, British limo with a British limo driver, completely shattered the minds of the Brijvasis.
Mind and heart.
Nobody would dare do such a thing. And because the sannyasi is supposed to walk in barefoot.
Right.
He not only didn't walk in barefoot, he walked in a motor car, which back then was a sign of British dominance and rule, with a British driver sitting straight and rigid in the car, as though a sannyasi had every right to do so, which, being a disciple of Gorkashore Das Babaji, this particular sannyasi at least did have a right to do so. You know, following his spiritual master. So, so if Gorkashore Das Babaji had not initiated Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, could Prabhupada have gone to America?
That's a good question. If Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was not initiated by Gorkashore Das Babaji,
could Srila Prabhupada have actually gone to America?
Yeah, that's...
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because he was destined to.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but if you're destined to, you have to have all the right ingredients in place too.
And he
You
did.
can't just do something because you're destined to do it.
As far as I have learned.
That's like a kid going and eating all the cookies in the cookie jar. When his mother comes in a rage, said, "Why did you eat all the cookies?" He says, "I was destined to."
Another good question or a point, philosophical point is here. When Prabhupada was born, they had an astrological chart done according to his birth time and this and that, and his activities in the future. So if I remember correctly, it was predicted that Srila Prabhupada at a age, meaning that, you know, at a latter part of his manifest, you know, Leela, he would preach. So that happened, didn't it?
Oh, yes, no doubt. But what I'm bringing up is,
Yes,
was Prabhupada a contrarian?
absolutely.
That's my point. Was Prabhupada as great a contrarian, or even maybe greater contrarian than his
Absolutely.
master?
Absolutely.
Look what he did.
Yeah.
First of all, he came to America.
Yeah.
The Vaishnava is forbidden to cross the water.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to have been a good traditional Vaishnava, initiated Vaishnava, he would have stayed in India, preached locally, and not ever gone to America.
Yeah. Another thing that I'd like to mention is that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the great Acharya, had sent his disciples to London, right? At one time, they went to London, but they were not successful in their activity, the preaching activity, right?
Oh, you're talking about Ban Maharaj.
Yes.
Ban Maharaj was not successful in opening temples, but he was successful in collecting money, which he kept.
Oh, okay.
And he brought it back to Vrindavan.
Yeah, let me look that up real.
And built a institute, Vaishnava Institute, which is now right across the street, the road from the Krishna Balaram Mandir. In other words, he stole the money from his spiritual master.
Yeah, Prabhupada comments in his original Srimad Bhagavatam said, Volume 2, His Holiness Sri Dandi Swami H.B. Ban Maharaj, rector of the Institute of Oriental Philosophy, Vrindavan. So that was his
rector. And when Bhaktisiddhanta heard that his disciple Ban was called rector, you know what he said?
Rectum.
He should be called rectum, not rector.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada mentions this in his Srimad Bhagavatam, 1964 edition preface. So
Which
your
goes rectum goes with crapper.
Yeah, well, there you go.
okay. So
So anyhow, just to finish that up,
yes,
that
Norman.
Bhakti so Srila Prabhupada's contrarianness, we should list it. His contrarianness is he crossed the water, came to America, accepted untouchables to become disciples, namely us, me, meaning people that could not become Vaishnava, could not go to India and become Vaishnavas, or to be initiated by the Gaudiya Math.
Well, the ISKCON gurus are, I mean, the GBC, the unelected GBC and the appointed gurus are also contrarians. Without actual authorization and qualification, they're doing all these things.
Yeah, but they're going against the acharyas. No, they're not in favor of them.
Yeah, so I just want to throw
being
that in there.
Being a contrarian doesn't mean fallen. Contrarian means doing something successfully against the tradition. So what else? I don't want to get carried away here or stay too long on the point. But what did Srila Prabhupada do? He initiated women and made them into Brahmins.
Okay.
So brahmacharinis could become just like brahmacharis.
Yeah.
Unheard of in India. And he initiated women to be Brahmins also. Unheard of in India. And so all of those things that he did, most of them were totally against Vaishnava tradition. That's why his godbrothers in India were just fuming at the ears, steam coming out of their ears when they heard what Srila Prabhupada was doing. And the worst part is he was successful in doing it. You know?
Yeah, yes, what Srila Prabhupada did was unimaginable to the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in India. You know,
and Bhaktisiddhanta was a contrarian. It was inconceivable to any Vaishnava anywhere in India.
And because Prabhupada did that, they also kind of followed in line and did something sort of in their line, didn't they?
Oh, Prabhupada's godbrothers?
Yeah, meaning that they also kind of slackened their so-called orthodox mood, right?
Well, yes, and they had every right to, because they had the same spiritual master.
Exactly.
Who was a contrarian.
Yeah.
They all came to be strict little brahmacharis and householders and end up owning one of the many temples that Bhaktisiddhanta had. That's what they wanted. That's why they joined him. They joined him to become independent when he died. Just like the 11 so-called Ritviks, who should have been called officiating acharyas, the 11 of the July 9th letter, they were saying, okay, we're guaranteeing, by poisoning Prabhupada, we're guaranteeing to become the next acharyas.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever contemplated that poisoning your guru, your spiritual master who came from Krishna Loka, might not be the best way of becoming an acharya. In other words, how do they mix poisoning with successorship in the disciplic line? But they had the excuse where they thought Prabhupada was becoming senile, as introduced by Narayan Maharaj, actually introduced by Tamal and many others. I mean, Tamal and Shama Sundar are openly discussing it. I overheard them. So anyhow, now it's time to go on. Have we completed this segment?
Jai, we got Janas Priya Prabhu from Hawaii joining us. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Jai,
Please-
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haribol, Hawaii, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Hang loose.
According to Tulsi Gabbard, aloha is an incredibly beautiful, potent word to say.
Yeah, it's almost like namaste.
But I think to the Hawaiians, it's even more so.
Yeah.
It sort of like completely encloses their heart space.
A lot of times when you say aloha to Hawaiians, they look at you like, you know what you're doing? Like, you know what you say?
Well, oh yeah, because for an American say aloha, it's sort of like, hey, I came, took over your country, now I'm saying aloha.
Yeah.
But Tulsi is a native, more or less.
Yeah. There's a famous,
And she's
there's a-
the only person who had fulfilled Srila Prabhupada's instruction that we should get Vaishnavas into politics in order to make the world a better place. And she's doing it.
yeah, yeah.
You know, she is the, I think, grand disciple of
Siddha Swarupananda.
Sarupananda, yeah. Siddha Sarupananda,
Yeah.
yeah. He took sannyas from Prabhupada. I met him
Prabhupada liked
in,
him.
oh yeah. But the GBC didn't.
Yeah.
The GBC did everything to destroy him. They accepted the 75 disciples that he brought into the movement and then wanted to get rid of him. A simple reason, he was genuine and they were not. Anyhow, let's get on. You have another, didn't you want to read something, Ramachandra? Ramachandra?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just getting set up. So let's continue the conversation a little bit more. Let me get situated and then we'll get
Okay.
going.
But you wanted to get off that conversation. So what conversation would you like to be on?
Oh, that conversation about the message from the devotee, the personal message. 1 second. Let me share that. Then we'll get things going here.
Oh, you're talking about that was on Facebook?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, well, let's only do that when you're fully ready.
Okay. Yes. 1 second. Let me get things.
Otherwise, we can chit chat about. We've covered, I think, Thakur Bhaktivinoda is number 1, Gorkishore Das Bhave is number 2, Bhaktisiddhanta is number 3, and Srila Prabhupada is the final acharya in the Krishna consciousness movement. And if you stop to think of it, who is going to chant on the same level as Srila Prabhupada around the world ever again?
No one. Absolutely no
I
one.
don't see it. I don't
Yeah.
know. No one, but who? I don't see anyone capable.
It's like saying, oh, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is going to appear again. Like, come on now, Oh, who's going to do that? Who's going to present the Chinta Beta
And he will be a disciple. He will be a disciple of Bhakti of what's his name in Mayapur.
Jayapataka.
Yeah, he'll be a disciple of Jayapataka. Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah. It's absurd that some people are thinking that he's an associate of. Well, in one sense,
We have to break the habit.
yeah.
It's a
I mean,
habit.
yeah.
You
Very bad
have,
habit.
you have to have a successful guru. They have to be like that. They don't have to be pure devotees. They just have to preach Prabhupada's philosophy purely. La, 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 la. But what about Prabhupada? He's still there in recorded form.
Yeah.
I mean, can anyone grasp the notion? What do you think, Mahaprabhu?
Mahaprabhu is in Mahaland.
Mahaprabhu's not there anymore?
No.
Okay, well, I ask anyone then, who can represent Prabhupada better than Prabhupada?
No, nobody.
No one else. No one else in this world, in this whole universe. Haribo.
So you see,
Haribol.
Mohit, and oh, you are there.
Chai.
Chai. So I was asking, who could represent Prabhupada better than Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah, who can do that except he himself?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So as long it doesn't make any difference if you hear Prabhupada on a recording or if you hear him in person. The reason being, he is transcendental by nature. Unlike me, unlike most people,
Yeah.
he is transcendental. Therefore, if he's recorded or he's live, sitting there, the problem with his being live sitting there is everybody wanted something from him.
Hmm.
They all wanted him to glance at them. They all wanted him to smile at them. They all wanted a special thing to be said so they could tell it to their friends.
Yeah,
So Prabhupada
Prabhupada
said this.
Yeah,
Go
to me.
ahead.
Prabhupada said this to me, and this is, my life and soul. I will do this.
Yeah, it's like an amulet that I'll wear forever.
Right. Yeah.
But that was not the point of Prabhupada. It's actually better and easier to understand and hear Prabhupada now than it was when he was personally present giving the same exact lecture. And I'll tell you quite frankly, many people fell asleep during his lectures.
Even though, yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
did,
Yeah, I couldn't
There-
believe people actually
Simple
got up.
reason.
People got up
didn't-
and walked
they
out of the
got up
class.
early, 4 in the morning, etc. By the time Prabhupada gave a lecture, they began to snooze off.
Janaspriya Prabhu, you were saying something. Prabhu, go ahead. Can
People used to get up and leave the class when Prabhupada was giving class.
Oh, wow.
It went like, what? It's like, hello.
What do you say? What did you say?
He said, when Prabhupada used to give, Janaspriya Prabhu said, when Prabhupada used to give class, people used to just walk out of the classes.
Yeah, also.
Yeah.
Walk in, walk out.
Yeah.
Because, there it is, the class. There it is, the class. I have things I have to do. I'll come in and catch a word or two. I'll walk out again. So now it's in a much different time. We can listen to Prabhupada as though our lives depended on it, which it turns out they do.
Yeah.
And that will work better than having a Kanista Adhikari sitting there trying to say things that will magnetize people into surrendering to Krishna, when if you play Prabhupada's lecture and Prabhupada's kirtan, that will automatically take place.
Chai.
So we're recommending that in the future, a future where the GBC is split off like a cancer from ISKCON, where the GBC can do whatever they damn please, wherever they damn please, and puff themselves up and kiss each other's butts and whatever it is they're so fond of doing. And we'll have temples, ISKCON temples, where Prabhupada sound vibration, people can listen through headphones and they will become completely immersed in the sound of Krishna Loka via Srila Prabhupada's lips. Why should we settle for less?
Yeah, that's my question. Why should we settle for less? Why we settle for insufficient guidance?
Yeah.
If sufficient guidance is available, why are we taking, a third class person as our sufficient guru? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't think they're third class. I think they're fifth class, like Prabhupada used to say. Third class is too good for them.
What did he say?
He said he doesn't think they are third class gurus.
Who doesn't think they're third class gurus?
Oh, Janaspriya Prabhu was saying.
He actually doesn't think they're third class gurus.
Yeah, he thinks that they're fifth class gurus, meaning
Well, anything less than first class might as well be 10th class. Because
Bro, what are you eating, bro? Please give me.
Hey?
Are you eating fruits?
Am I what?
Come on, that eating messages later, Mohit Prabhu.
Okay, bro.
Why did
Okay.
he ask you what I'm doing?
You're eating something. He wants to have something that you're eating. So
Yummy,
Yummy.
yummy chunks of ice.
yummy for my tummy.
I want to have your prashadam, bro. Please give it to me, bro. Haribol.
Yeah, ice.
Go ahead, bro.
You can
Sorry to
chew
interrupt.
ice as though it were food and still get zero nutrition by chewing it.
Okay, Narayan Prabhu, are we ready to go to the question? I think I'm ready now. So,
You're in charge of the program. I'm only filling in until you are.
okay. So, 1 second. Let me stop this broadcast and we'll attend to the question of the devotee who's been watching our program. This will be the second part of the video.